Hello, world. This is Edward Bevilacqua from Ciao Tutti magazine and the Italian American Club in Las Vegas, and we got very lucky today that attorney. So, do you mainly say you're an attorney or a TV?
I'm an attorney
expert,
first. Attorney
real
first.
estate.
I do all kinds of civil law, but
okay.
Yeah, attorney first.
So, Bob Massi, who has been in Las Vegas for a long time, has a very distinguished, multifaceted career, right?
Couple different careers.
Couple careers,
yeah, for sure.
And so Bob had time to talk to us today, and Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you for asking me.
And we'll get started the way we usually do. What are your Italian roots?
My grandparents were from Italy, from Reggio Calabria, Italy, and then of course Mom and Dad. We grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And did your grandparents go right to Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh area, yeah.
Came to Ellis Island.
Yeah, the whole way.
Okay.
The way it should be.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Yeah, as opposed to across the river.
Across the river.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Pirates fan?
Pirates and Steelers fan, although Pirates somewhat of a farm team, it seems like every year, but still love the roots where I came from. And then 1974, I was in law school. I went to St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas, School of Law. And my mother and father said we were going to move to Vegas. Actually, I have two older brothers who were out here. We came to Vegas in 74.
Okay, now wait a second. You went to St. Mary's Law School?
In Texas.
Okay, and where did you go to undergraduate?
Mount St. Mary's College.
Okay.
My mother
is there a pattern?
Yes.
Is your mother's name Mary?
My mother was very devoted to the Blessed Mother. And
I
this
see.
is a true story.
Huh.
And she felt very comfortable if we would go to anything with the Blessed Mother involved. And honestly, it wasn't coincidence for me.
Wow.
It was, so.
Okay.
And I got great education both places.
So I know St. Mary's in the Bay Area is Christian Brothers.
Both of my boys went there.
Oh.
I have 3 children, and my 2 sons, one played tennis, one played golf there, and they're still in Las Vegas as well as my daughter.
And is it the same St. Mary's reason?
You know what? Actually, my father-in-law, who's deceased, who was a lawyer in Las Vegas, John Manzoni, he went there.
Okay.
And, again, it's one of those crazy things that here it is, his grandchildren ended up going to the college where he went. Beautiful Moraga, California.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful area.
Well, I went to Santa Clara.
Oh, well, that was rivals.
Yeah, exactly. So usually we see
basketball, golf,
tennis. Well, we usually talk to somebody from
You were
St.
Jesuits,
Mary's.
right?
Yeah. So we usually say, why didn't you go to a good school?
I understand. The rivalry.
So, yeah, but it's a beautiful campus.
Great areas. As a Santa Clara, beautiful school.
Yeah. So, okay. So your parents said, okay, we're moving to California, Nevada.
Yeah.
Well, why was that?
I think that it reached the point that it was in the best interest of everybody to leave Pennsylvania. I think my mom and dad were a little older and wanted to get to the better life, better weather.
Sure.
And my dad sold his business, and my brothers were already here, my 2 older brothers, because we knew we were all going to go together.
Okay.
It wasn't
so they came first?
Yeah, my oldest brother came first, Jimmy, and then Al
scouting
came.
mission?
He'd been out, he was an entertainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, beautiful voice, even to this day.
Okay.
And so we had roots here, we had friends here, people here, so it was an easy move.
Okay.
It was an easy move, and a good move.
So he knew people, knew things.
Yeah.
And, okay, got it. And let's see, at that time there was no law school in the state.
No, there wasn't a lot in the state. There was UNLV, of course, where my office sits now in Green Valley on Pecos and Wigwam area. You could throw a hand grenade, nobody would get hurt.
Really?
There was nothing here.
Yeah.
And it was the last frontier, and I think still is in a lot of ways. But yeah, I was just looking the other day at old pictures of Las Vegas to see what's happened, and it's remarkable.
It changes so fast, it's hard to remember 5 years ago, unless somebody brings it to mind.
Yeah, the only reason we remember the last 7, 8 years is because of what happened to the real estate market.
Yeah,
and
you were very
remember
focused on that.
Yeah, I tried to help as many people as I could.
But I understand a recent, I think, TV show report, Fox News or something, you said something, I'm just paraphrasing, Las Vegas was one of the leaders, one of the strongest, and it got hit, and it's coming back strong.
It is. Yeah, it was ground zero in the real estate industry crisis. And now you're seeing the resurgence. Some of the lending practices, Fannie and Freddie have loosened up some things. not necessarily the best thing, because I don't want to
Okay.
see people make the same mistake.
Yeah.
But there's life again.
I see.
We went through 4 or 5 years of literally, the town was in serious trouble.
After 2008.
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, I saw, so many people with so many problems, and people that lost everything, and elderly people that lost their pensions and their retirement. And
That's because their monthly payment increased dramatically.
yeah, they were selling those interest-only loans and mature in 5 or 10 years.
Oh.
The property would go up, we thought,
Yeah.
and then they'd pull the money out. And everybody bought into it. American dreams, everybody wants to own a home.
Sure.
That's what happened.
I remember, I guess it was about 10 years ago, you drive on the 15 past the strip.
Yeah.
How many cranes were on?
Well, we used to say that the state bird was the crane.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what we used to say.
Okay.
And, it's if you really close your eyes, you wonder how Las Vegas even exists, because we're just a big valley.
In the middle of the desert.
And
it's like 100 miles from
Yeah.
the nearest possible.
It's interesting when you fly into Vegas and they say we're beginning our final descent, and it's an hour later you're still landing. That's how big the valley is.
Yeah, that's true. So let's go back, because
Yeah.
I want to come to this. So
Sure.
you grew up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And let's see, I remember the Pirates around the mid 70s got a new stadium.
They did. 2 new stadiums, because we built the Steelers and
okay.
both together, sort of facing one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was an A's fan.
Oh, sure, of course. Just like the Raiders and the Steelers, they're
Well,
rivals,
yeah.
and the A's. And
That was a tough one. Raiders, San Francisco.
yeah, that's true.
So, okay, so you grew up, your mother, for reasons, Catholic, St. Mary's or Mount St. Mary's,
Yeah.
undergraduate. What was your undergraduate degree in?
It was actually 2 I had in political science and in science itself. My first love was actually medicine.
Is that what you thought you were going to be growing up?
I did. When I got to high school, I had a lot of different projects in biology and had a lot of success with different kinds of awards. And was my passion, and still is. I still love science and medicine and things. But my brother Al was at Dickinson Law School in Carlisle, which was about an hour from Mount St. Mary's College. And when you're 21, 22 years old, you're finishing college, you're thinking 10 years, 12 years medical school, 3 years law school, and some go to law school. I don't regret it either.
And so what was it in your family because that's 2 of the 3 boys went to graduate school?
Went to law school, yeah. It's funny, because all of our, even my cousin, who I'm like a brother with, he went to Dickinson. And I don't know how it came about. We just decided to go to law school. And
growing up before that, education was important?
Always. My family, my father, oh my God, that was all it was.
Okay.
It was all education. Even though he had a very successful business, he wanted his boys educated.
Okay.
He wanted them educated.
So at some age, you knew you had to do some kind of professional school, some kind of graduate.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was it down in Texas?
I love Texas.
Okay.
People were wonderful. Good school. It's not one of those big name schools, but it hasn't impeded my career.
Yeah.
And but good school and good people, and it was education for me, because growing in the Northeast and going to school in the South, it was like going to a different country.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
There were not a lot of Italians in San Antonio, Texas, in 1973. Okay.
Yeah. Probably not many more today.
Yeah, probably not many more.
Mm-hmm. And now, did you take the bar in Texas?
I did. Took the bar and I passed. And
were you planning to practice there?
No, I figured because I went to law school, I might as well get the bar,
Yeah, sure.
And then I took the bar over here and I actually started practicing in 1980. I finished law school in '76.
Oh.
And then I did some other things for 5 years, and then I decided to start practicing law.
So how was it taking the bar here after being out for a while?
Well, I have a pretty unique story, if I may share.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's why we're here.
I'm dyslexic, and I actually took the bar several times here and did not successfully pass it. And so a very good friend of mine who's a lawyer in town, we felt there was something going on, and I got tested in Culver City, California.
Okay, so you didn't know you were dyslexic?
Not until I was 27 years old.
Wow.
And
but you were a slow reader.
I was very bad in comprehension, but when we went back and we looked at all the test results, at those days the bar was only offered once a year.
Yeah.
It was a two-part test, essays and multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
I was passing the essays, and I was failing the multiple choice. So finally, long story short, found out I was dyslexic, took all these different courses on the West Coast to learn how to get around this, and took the bar the fourth time, didn't make it, and then
you were committed.
I challenged.
Was your thing?
I was not going to give up.
Okay.
So I challenged the Nevada Board of Bar Examiners.
Okay.
And it went to the Supreme Court of the state of Nevada. So nobody ever challenged it.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court actually dismissed.
What was the argument?
That under laws that existed at the books then and now, you cannot discriminate against those people who have learning, in those days, disabilities. Today, you say challenges.
Okay.
And but the Supreme Court dismissed my appeal. But what happened is,
this is the state Supreme Court.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what happened is there was what we call an in-camera meeting with the justices.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend who was a lawyer and my father-in-law was a lawyer, they all met. And the Supreme Court, to their credit, was sympathetic to my circumstance. And they came up with an alternative way for me to take the bar.
Okay.
At that time, I was not, my residence was still here, but I moved to California for 6 months to study.
What part?
Thousand Oaks.
Okay. Know where that is.
And my son Dominic, who's now 36, was only a year old.
Oh,
and my wife and I went there, and I studied down there, and I took these different courses.
For dyslexia?
For learning how to take this exam.
Oh, the bar exam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what I did was, ultimately, I took the essay, but what the accommodation was, which is what they called it, was that I was given an extra hour in the morning and afternoon on the multiple choice.
Okay.
And I was in a room by myself at UNLV, and I had a proctor.
Okay.
So you were my proctor.
Making sure you didn't cheat.
Not only that, more importantly, I would tell you the answer, and you put the answer on the grid.
Oh, because that could have been one of your things. You were checking the wrong box.
I was reversing letters. I was reversing.
So you'd say it's A.
And became C.
Got it. Oh, wow.
So I'll never forget, we were packed in Thousand Oaks, and I said to my wife, I said, well, we're either going to Texas. And I was licensed in Texas. Why? It was a 3-day essay test.
Oh.
And I passed that. So I get the call, and in those days, you would have to call Carson City, and they would tell you over the phone if you passed or failed.
Okay, wow.
Okay, it was pretty scary, particularly after 4 times.
Sure.
And anyway, I was very blessed, and they said you passed, and it was a very special day in my life and for my family. And
probably remember it like it was yesterday.
Yes, I do. Judge Christensen actually swore me in his courtroom, and so it was. And a lot of people were very nice to me because they knew how hard I worked. They found out what the problem was because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I had all those years of Catholic education, elementary school and high school Catholic. But in those days, you know, they didn't pay attention to stuttering or they just didn't.
Yeah.
Because we actually went back and we got all my tests in high school and elementary school that were multiple choice, and I did bad on all of them. So that's how I became licensed. And over the years, I've represented children who have been discriminated against in the school district. We're not providing proper training for them. And so I've always been sympathetic. I've given commencement talks at New Horizons, which deals with that. So I'm very sympathetic to people that have learning challenges.
A friend of mine named Nolan Bushnell, you probably don't recognize the name, but he invented a game called Pong and started a company called Atari. You know those?
Yes, I do.
He's dyslexic.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a HBO special on dyslexia. Einstein, Attorney Boyles, who represented Al Gore in 1980, is one of the most brilliant constitutional lawyers. All these people that have had great success. There's something, I guess, the way God made us, that there's other things that He gives you gifts for.
That's how Nolan says it. That you know, because he's dyslexic, he was able to come up with Pong and Atari. And
I mean, I've always sort of been. It's interesting in the media part of it. I've always sort of been ahead of my time as to what I thought people would need,
Mm-hmm.
both in radio, because I did radio for years, television I still do, as you know, and I've always sort of been there, and to whatever extent you measure that, I think it's from the disability.
I can't understand when people say I mix the letters around. How does it look to you?
Well, it's not so much that you have a conscious, it's more that the way the visual and the problem in the brain is when you're looking at A, B, C, D,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it's transmitted in your brain, you know the letter, you know the answer's A, but for whatever reason, the way the visual comes out, it reverses it to C.
Oh.
I also had a thing called a saccadic eye movement, is where my eyes jump all over the place, like a ping pong ball. So combined, I had no shot.
And you didn't play baseball either.
I didn't play baseball.
Okay, good.
I didn't play baseball. I didn't.
So wow, that's pretty amazing, and just you didn't give up.
No, not many people know that story because I don't go around telling people.
Well, they do now.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Because I think that, and I have to tell you, it's interesting. I actually went back and I found the original pill that we did.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the letters that were written on my behalf, it's really moving.
Sure.
Almost every judge downtown, because I law clerk for a judge, wrote letters on my behalf to the Supreme Court saying, hey, this kid deserves a chance. And when I look back and I read it, it's very, it's humbling. And it's humbling that they thought enough of me to do that.
Yeah. So that's sort of appealing to the spirit of the law.
It is.
Work around the letter.
And to the Supreme Court's credit, Justice Mowbray, God rest his soul, he spearheaded this. He really did. And I'll always be thankful.
So he believed in you.
He did. And the other justices, I think at that time they didn't want to necessarily have a written decision on it because it was new.
Yeah.
It was new. But I also think they knew I was going to federal court because I was.
Okay, so they knew.
It wasn't.
They knew saying no, you wasn't the end.
It was not even close.
Chapter.
Not even close. Because I would say, okay, I'm going federal.
Next.
Yeah.
Okay. I moved here in 1990 to go to law school, and I found out there was no law school.
That's true.
So I went back to San Diego and went to law school there. But,
USD?
I went to, it's now Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, it's a great school.
Yeah, but it was before it was Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, good school.
So, but I thought it was so, when I moved here, it never crossed my mind. There was no law school in the whole state.
All there was,
you must be wrong.
All there was when I moved here was the Running Rebels.
Oh, okay.
And Jerry Tarkanian, God rest his soul.
Yeah. Well, that was a good thing.
It's great for the city.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people, I remember when they wanted to raise money at UNLV, they literally would have the Rat Pack come to the convention center and they'd raise millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. I mean, those are the things that people don't know about what a great city this is.
Sure. Now, what do you think about hockey?
Love to get it here.
Okay.
That new arena that they're building, I think they sold enough tickets.
They did. The Maloofs are members of the club. We don't have a tremendous number of non-Italians.
Right. I think it's going to cost a lot of money to get the franchise.
The numbers I heard, the fee, so we, at the club, one of the other guys is Tony Guanci, who the NFL suggests, so he said the other NFL teams might get like $20 million each, the owners, just to let them have this franchise.
Wow.
It's
pretty strong.
It's
pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas has always been interesting because professional teams have never made it here. The only thing that ever made it here was UNLV Rebels.
Yeah.
That's it. The casinos, maybe I'm wrong, the perception was always they didn't want any professional teams here because they didn't want them out of the casinos.
Yeah.
I think that's changed a little bit.
I think it's changed a lot, and I
hope so.
I think having a major league team is, you can't say, well, minor league team didn't make it, so major.
That's right.
And, with 40 million visitors, I absolutely believe if somebody comes into town for a convention that's a big Rangers fan, and they're playing against our team, they're going to want to go.
They're going to go.
Because you come here to spend money.
I don't know how they're going to get all the traffic straight now where that arena's being built. That's their problem.
Yeah, that's interesting. But it's a nice looking building.
It's fabulous.
From the outside.
I actually featured it on one of my shows coming up.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's nice on the inside.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, I understand. So it's one of the top three.
For those who, but I have a show on Fox News Channel now.
What's that called?
It's called Bob Massi is the Property Man.
Okay.
and it's on every weekend, 9 o'clock Pacific, and then noon on Sundays. We did 10 shows out of Vegas, and we featured. Matter of fact, this Saturday, which would be August, whatever it's going to be, this I think the 8th.
9th.
Yeah, we've got Zappos.
Okay. Tony Hsieh.
Downtown Container Park.
Okay.
A couple other things. I've been with Fox.
Your show is there? It's being filmed there?
We shot the show already.
Okay.
We shot 3 months ago. We shot in March.
Oh, you know what?
March of 2015.
The school I work at is right next to the container park. And I remember a few months ago, just all kinds of trucks and
we were doing
major production.
Big production. The show's been very successful. I've been with Fox News since 1996 as a legal analyst.
Straight through.
I was the second legal analyst they hired.
Hmm.
And it just came, I sent the videotape in of the local media stuff I did.
Uh-huh.
And I get a call from them and they said, "Hey kid, we like your style." And
well, you have a good voice. I told you that before. Right? Your voice sounds compelling.
And I think, look, you gotta be a little lucky, but I've been with them 19 years.
Wow.
And then I got my own show recently and it's been very successful so far. Matter of fact, it just got approved for a second season, so we're going to go to Florida. We're going to do something out of Orlando, Miami, and Tampa.
Wow. And what's the actual format?
The format is I interview people who have gone through tough times on the other side, personal stories.
Mm-hmm.
We feature Zappos. Last week I did Little White Wedding Chapel on the Strip. Important places in Vegas, what's going on, living in condominiums on the Strip. So we cover, it's sort of eclectic, all these different stories. Then I do a thing at the end called the Massi Memo, where I give people legal tips. My whole practice career has been on advising people on radio, television, writing. I've written books on, tips, how to help people. I wrote a book that was published by HarperCollins 2007 or 8 called "People Get Screwed All the Time."
Good name. Good title.
There were real stories about real people who've been victims of business deals, probate issues, marital issues, child custody, whatever it may be. And they're real stories. And after each story, then I give an explanation of what their rights are. So I've covered for Fox News just about every case you've seen. I was at the Michael Jackson trial. I was the Scott Peterson trial, the Unabomber's trial, Robert Blake's trial, Casey Anthony's trial, all of them. But what I want people also to know that in all of this, I still have an active law practice in Las Vegas. What's nice about the television stuff is, like when we shot the show 3 months ago, we shot it right here, it's done. And I have my active law practice where I do, personal injury, real estate business, wills and trusts. So I have a civil practice.
So you just don't do, it sounds like you just don't do family.
I don't do family, I don't do criminal, I don't do family, I don't do bankruptcies. But I consult people. Not on criminal, I don't, but I consult people on these other ones. And then if it's something I think I can't do, I'll send them to people. Employment law, I say, go see this person. So I try to help people find what they want. But a lot of times what's happened is people think because this celebrity thing that people view you as, which they're very nice, I don't see it that way. They think, number one, you're too expensive, or number two, there's no way I could get to this guy. I'm like the most approachable guy you ever meet, and I don't have a large law.
I was surprised about that too.
I don't have a large law
practice. Remember my first seeing you, I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I'm casual all the time, and I have a very boutique practice. I don't have 10 lawyers working for me. I don't have, by choice.
So you get them here, you do what you can to help them. You don't try to prolong it.
No, I try to fix the problems as quickly as I can. If I have to litigate certain cases, I will. But my job is to try to educate, help them solve the problem and move on, because people, there's nothing cheap in our business. But I represent a lot of great restaurants in town, a lot of businesses, small businesses, real estate companies. I've had some very good success in personal injury settlements and trials. So I've been very fortunate all the way around.
Okay, let me ask you this off topic. We at the Italian American Club in Ciao Tutti are promoting that Las Vegas is one of the 7 great cities in the world. What do you think about that?
A couple of things I have to say about Vegas. Most places where you go, it's who you know. Vegas is not that way. It's who knows you. It's a completely different mentality. I absolutely still, even with all the changes, I still love the town. I think it's great for young people. I still think there's great opportunity for young people. I think like anything else, the city has growing pains.
Yeah.
There's areas in town that used to be beautiful that's run down. It's become a city.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more done with our local government to clean it up.
Sure.
I think they've done it. I think Oscar did a great job. I think Carolyn's done a great job. I think the commissioners worked their butt off. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see the police. I mean, they're out every day trying to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said about waking up with blue skies about 330 days out of the year.
There's something to be said about that. Also,
we have great restaurants too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where I was going. It's,
the best.
I
was in New York a month ago. Their restaurants can't touch our restaurants.
We work, in Ciao Tutti, we have a couple restaurants that are back east in New York, Il Molino, Carmine's, New York City.
Sure.
That come out here, and I interviewed the managers, and they say, this is not like back there. This is you got a lot of people. You have to do a great job because there's a lot of competition.
Service-oriented town.
But it's
you can't make any mistakes. If you make mistakes, then this is all about service. I have people all the time. They say, what do you think about living there? I said, why wouldn't you want to live here?
Why wouldn't you?
There's no reason not to. I mean, taxes, how are you going to beat the property taxes?
Right.
No state income tax. Yeah, they chisel us on DMV and all that stuff, but overall, I love the city. And when you want to start complaining about traffic, go to LA for a day. You'll come back and say, what traffic?
Yeah, that's what's so funny to me. When I go to California, I drive because it's more comfortable.
Right.
You get to Victorville.
Right.
And you want to go to LA, if it's at 9 o'clock in the morning, you have traffic for 50 miles. Easily. And then people here complain of, there's about 5 miles, 3 miles in the spaghetti bowl.
It's there's no comparison.
And you can get off the freeway here, and there's a million other ways to go.
Interstate 10 and 405 is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Remember that movie with Michael Douglas, Falling? What was it?
He's the guy that got lost his job.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So restaurants. What Italian restaurants do you like?
Oh, well, my number one restaurant is Ferraro's.
Okay.
Gino and Rosalba are the best. They worked hard. They're a great example of Italian family.
Yeah.
He's from Calabria.
Yeah. I knew he was from Italy. I didn't know he was from Calabria.
And came over here, worked hard. I think came from Syracuse. Came out of here. And their food is as good as you're going to find anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
I have people from back east that come here. I take it there. They can't believe it. I said, no, these guys are the best.
And I think what there's sort of a crossover because they get a lot of local people and they get a tremendous number
of convention
people.
Yeah,
but a lot of the guys in the forum shops, the Venetian, they're almost exclusively convention people.
Yeah, Zeffirinos in those places, sure.
Yeah.
Good people there too.
Yeah. Now, do you know Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group, Frank Bonanno?
I do. I know the name. I've never met him.
Okay, he's a really great guy. He has 50 restaurants. He's got the restaurants in most of the food courts in the big casinos.
Good for him.
Came from New Jersey. Really good guy. Pleasant guy. So what else besides Ferraro's?
I like
anything here?
I like Giotti.
Okay, Giotti's.
Yeah, she's good. The only thing, Green Valley, I'm a little aggravated because we don't have as many good restaurants as we should have.
Yeah.
You go to Summerlin, it's wall to wall.
Yeah, true.
The Galleria, they just opened some restaurants. So they got Bravo over there, which is a sister of Brio, and they got this new place called Larson's, decent steakhouse. But I'm surprised we don't have Tuscany's been around. Mike and Louie been around forever. True. So there's good enough restaurants.
Have you gone to Pizza Rock over there yet?
I haven't. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's Tony Gemignani is a good guy. Supports the magazine, writes for it, but his thing is authentic. So he said if you go to Naples, they use a certain type of flour, certain type of tomato. They make their sauce a certain way, certain type of cheese.
Right.
They put it in an oven that has a certain temperature for a certain amount of time.
Right.
I have that. That's what I do. He said you go to Rome, certain type of flour. Right. He said I have 13 pizza ovens.
But if you ask, I'm sure Tony will agree with this. It's the water.
He wrote a thing about it's the water. That's his story in here.
It's the water.
He wrote it about it here. He talked about
all that we have.
Water.
The water's too hard here.
that what they have to do for the water.
Back east in Pittsburgh, the pizza, I go to the same place when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
The guy never had a cash tray. Never had a cash tray. He used to put all his cash in a cigar box. Still does. And it's the water. I mean, it makes the complete difference.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, that's what he says.
yeah, I'll go try it.
Yeah.
And you know, another guy that's been around for years here is Carmine.
Carmine, right up on here.
On Horizon. Yeah, Carmine's a
He
legend.
has the paper.
Carmine's a
For the
legend.
magazine.
He's done more for this town.
advertiser.
They help people. It's a good man.
Did you help him when he had his challenges?
I did. And my mother and father, when they moved here, was in the vending business and coffee, and used to do all of his stores. They did the coffee.
Okay.
He would tell the story. He was sitting here. Your father, he said, your mother used to come and say, Carmine, I just saw you open up a new store. Why isn't my coffee ready? He'd say, Victoria, let me get open. You're there, you know. He's a good guy.
So is this pour over vending, or do they have machines?
They have
too?
vending back east. My dad had one of the largest vending
Street
businesses.
vending or full wide?
Everything, pinball machines,
Okay.
jukeboxes, pool tables, shuffle alleys.
Okay, I was in that business.
Every joint in western Pennsylvania,
Okay.
my father had.
Okay.
It's a good business.
Yeah.
Very good business, actually. If we'd have stayed there, we probably would never gone into the law.
Yeah, I had a little experience in that business too, and I agree. It's in fact, Steve Garvey was my partner, the baseball player,
Sure,
in a business, and he said, you know, Ed, I'm really an entertainer, and I have to go do my own stuff.
Sure.
When he was doing public speaking, and he said, you know, what I like about the vending business is you go to bed, you get up in the morning, there's more money. You just have to do the right job for the people, like anything else.
Straight.
So, Bob, what do you foresee 5 years from now in Vegas? What's it going to look like?
Well, I'm anxious to see the success of the casinos they're going to build on the Strip.
Okay.
That's a very aggressive move because I think, as we all know, I think even Mr. Wynn has said, you know, that things may not be as we see, and the gaming revenues are down. But what's happened is the millennials and the X and Y generation, they don't gamble.
Yeah.
That's why they have
drive over from LA.
And they have 50,000 square foot, you know, clubs.
Yeah.
So they drink, they eat, and they party.
Yeah.
So gaming has changed. So I'm anxious to see. It's a very aggressive move. I think it's wonderful because I'm going to employ a lot of people to build them for a few years.
Sure.
And employ a lot of people when they open.
Okay.
And God willing, that'll be good. In the housing industry, I think we're okay. I think that we need the banks.
Still plenty of land.
We need the banks to finish the foreclosures.
Okay.
There's too many homes still that need to be foreclosed on, so we could get it where the lenders have foreclosed and people know where they stand and they can move on with their life. Because a lot of these homes, people can't rebuild their credit until their house is out of their name. You see?
Yeah.
So it's a big problem.
I have a brother that's a broker or a realtor, and he said, I don't know if it's 6 months ago or a year ago, he was saying the banks are not letting out inventory. There's not a lot of houses on the market.
Well, it's supply and demand. They want to get it where they could recoup. So as many, if they hold on to it, it's part of what we call a shadow inventory. If they hold on to it and the supply is not there and demand's there, then the prices go up.
Right. So that's a way for the banks to come out ahead.
Absolutely. They came out ahead all the way, trust me.
Okay. No problems with that.
No. They got billions of dollars of our money. While people were losing their homes, these guys are getting billions of dollars of our money.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big fan of some lenders. I saw what they did to people.
So, hockey team here in 5 years?
I think it's going to be sooner. I cannot believe.
Yeah, well, if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, I think they sold over 10,000 tickets.
I think you're absolutely right.
So, that shows there's an interest in town, for goodness sake. Yeah. And the arena's spectacular, so it's going to be a great addition to the community. So, I hope.
Okay, now what about on the political side? Jim Marsh.
Do I know Jim Marsh? I love Jim Marsh.
Yeah, so I interviewed him last week. He's a member of the club. He's the only non-Italian who gets to vote at the club.
He's the best.
And I said, well, Jim, how do you feel about the political thing now that the Republicans are in control? I said, I'm really disappointed. Is that the general sense, professionals here?
My opinion is that the Republican Congress They're like a kid in a candy store. They don't know how to handle it. And the Republicans have to get out of 19 or 40 years ago and get up with 2015, and they got to get to the kids. They got to.
Yeah.
They have to. There's certain principles that they have to abandon. Look, you know, I'm a pro-lifer, but Roe versus Wade is the law of the land.
Yeah.
And I understand there's the conservatives in the South that will never give that issue up.
Okay.
You can't get these young kids.
Yeah.
If you talk that way, they can't.
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
The younger generation is about diversity. It's funny. I was at the mall last night, and I said to my wife, you know, look at all the different kids together, all colors.
Yeah.
And maybe they're right. You know, maybe the other generations behind us, maybe we've been wrong on that. That these kids don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
And maybe they're right. You know, but the Republicans, Boehner and them, they got to get away from this and just get a good candidate.
Yeah.
That's why Trump's resonating.
I was just going to say, how?
I mean, Thursday night's going to be the Donald Trump show for the debate. I mean, he's
you're right. Yeah.
He's going to be.
Sure.
He's saying things that people are thinking because he has nobody to be accountable to.
Yeah.
Now, whether he'll be able to carry it, who knows? But the old establishment Republicans better be careful because if he keeps getting this momentum, they're going to have to come to him.
I was thinking the same thing, and Lincoln was the first president from the Republican Party, and the Whig Party fell apart because of whatever it was.
Sure.
And if the Republican Party doesn't do something, it's not going to be around.
If they don't change, they're not going to get the White House for years.
Yeah.
For years.
Well, I think they're just not going to. They're going to not get anything.
They may get Congress, but the way they're acting right now, they'll lose it in 2 years.
Yeah, I think so.
They're
and what about the state?
Well, I was a little disappointed. We had a Republican legislature this year. I was a little disappointed in some of the laws that they passed. There's a lot of misunderstanding and perceptions. People don't understand the business that we're in as attorneys. And the profession has created its own perception too, don't misunderstand me. But at the same time, there's a lot of good that's done every day in our profession.
Oh, absolutely.
And you get tired of the perception, but again, they've earned it, many of them. Saying that, those men and women up there in the legislature, they work hard. They get bad mouthed, they shouldn't.
But they work for, is it just 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months?
Every 2 years.
And that's it. And they don't get paid, is that right?
They
just
do
their
not.
per diem?
That's it. And I don't know why we don't have it every year.
Yeah.
This state's big enough now, and the problems are big enough that we should have it every year. This every 2 years to me is ridiculous. But these men and women need to be properly compensated because they give up 4 or 5 months of their life.
Yeah.
And they get hammered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying that, I wouldn't want their job. I've had people in the past come to me, a few years ago, wanted to say, would you run for politics and that kind of stuff. I had no interest whatsoever.
You just didn't even have a discussion.
I think we could do, some of us could do more good on the outside than on the inside.
Yeah. I think so. It's a lot easier. People shooting at you.
Yeah, it's a tough time in life.
What do you think of the downtown project?
Fabulous. Love Tony Hsieh.
Yeah.
What he did down there, as a matter of fact, Container Park, other cities have come to say, show us how to do this. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think that he's a wonderful addition to Las Vegas, and I commend the mayor, Oscar, as well as present mayor on the cooperative effort that they did, and it's wonderful, and it's only going to get better down there.
I think what Tony needs is your help in terms of getting the message across.
Well,
because that's not his strong suit.
No, it's everything is about how you present it.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm surprised that that part of that puzzle of a successful venture hasn't been tackled. But I got to tell you, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, he provides us with the campus that we have our school.
Sure.
So he's talking about accessible. You could run into him
anywhere, and
very low key.
Yes. Which
can be good, but it's also bad if you don't take advantage of opportunity.
Yeah, there's got to be. I do. I think that's why we did Zappos and Container Park, because I said I want to feature this on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good stuff.
I think that I think that
it's a
really,
lifelong. Good.
no, that's okay.
Okay.
So I think I would welcome anybody to move to Las Vegas.
Okay. Good.
Love it.
So we'd like you to come to the club, become a member again.
They got good chicken Milanese there. By the
They
way.
have a lot of good stuff. Thank
I
you
was
for that.
just at a graduation a few weeks ago.
Huh. Okay, well, Bob, I only have one last question.
Yes, sir.
Sauce or gravy?
Sauce.
Okay, that's how it was when you grew up.
Sauce. Pittsburgh was sauce.
Gravy. Somebody said
Gravy
gravy.
was New York.
Okay,
Sauce.
good. Okay.
Great.
Well,
great
thank you.
question, though.